Disrupting Japan, Episode 67. Welcome to Disrupting Japan, straight talk from Japan's most successful entrepreneurs. I'm Tim Romero, and thanks for listening. The Internet of Things is unstoppable. It's so broadly defined these days, connectivity is cheap, and it can be added to just about anything. Of course, whether it should be added or not is another matter entirely. That's a question that's near and dear the heart of Takuma Iwasa, founder and CEO of Cerevo, one of the most innovative connected device makers in Japan. Takuma started his career at Panasonic, and he had high hopes of creating all manner of consumer devices that could take advantage of internet connectivity. What he found, however, was that his job consisted mostly of finding ways of trying to force internet connectivity into existing products. Genuinely new products and innovations were being dismissed out of hand. Well, Takuma did what everyone should do, but very few people actually do in that situation. He quit his job, took some of the best engineers with him, and he started his own company. Now, there are a lot of gadgets and IoT devices being built in Japan, but Cerevo has a genuinely interesting and methodological approach to it. During the interview, you'll hear Takuma try to downplay that strategy as just gut instinct. But as you listen, you'll understand the very rational method behind what, from the outside, might look like madness. We'll talk about plenty of cool devices, but I think you'll find the strategy that underlines Cerevo's success to be at least as interesting. But you know, Takuma tells that story much better than I can. So let's hear from our sponsors and get right to the interview. I want to tell you about Justa. Now, I've known these guys for years, and I've been recommending them long before they became a sponsor. Justa is really the only recruiting site that gets bilingual startups. Whether you're looking for American engineers or Japanese sales staff or the other way around, Justa can help you out. Unlike recruiting companies, they're priced to be very startup-friendly, and unlike job boards, they're an active part of the startup community here, and they're trusted by some of the best talent Japan has to offer. So drop by justa.io and see what they're about. So I'm sitting here with Takuma Iwasa of Cerevo. Now, Cerevo, I'm tempted to call it a gadget company, but that's not really fair because you guys do a lot more than just make little gadgets. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us a little bit about what Cerevo does?
Okay, so my company name is Cerevo, and we say Cerevo is a consumer electronics startup company. Okay. Not gadget, right?
Right, that's true.
We are really focusing to the connected consumer electronics devices. Okay. Connected robot or connected camera or connected, of course, a gadget.
Right.
And sometimes we tried connected toy, connected sports equipment.
You guys make so many different kinds of Internet of Things products. Mm-hmm. We could spend the whole podcast just listing them all. There's a huge variety of them. Mm-hmm. I mean, you make everything from tools for IoT developers to connected sports equipment to video streaming equipment. But first, let's back up a little bit.
Okay.
You started
from 2008.
2008?
Yes. So my personal background is I spent a time into the Ritsumeikan University. It's a Kyoto University. I studied computer science, but I'm not good for the software programming.
So you studied software development, but you just weren't very good at it?
Yes. But I'm working into the very, very small startup company, and in a college student generation, I spent so long time to make the website. And I received some of the job from the boss, and I managed my friends. I received the job from the client, and I spread out and cutting up the A part is my friend B, and the B part is this friend, C part is this friend.
So kind of project management.
Yeah. So I also the programmer and the manager. In that time, I spent so long time to make a computer programming, and my friend started to do from 1 to the 100. They spent just 5 days.
Okay.
At the same time, I started almost the same to-dos. I already spent 1 week, but I can't do just only 20 or 25. But I can really easily manage my friends.
Okay.
But I can't try
Do the programming.
the development. Then after the college, I decided to go to the product manager.
Okay.
Not a program.
And you were with Panasonic.
Yes. I really like 0 to 1 timing. That means end of the 2001. That timing is .com bubbling the years.
Yeah.
So,
just as it was starting to burst.
Yeah. The web-based, internet-based companies are already growing to the big company. And I like to touch to the internet or computer network job. But I forget the
Aptitude.
aptitude is not the good for the programming. Then I'm looking for not the purely internet companies. So automotive company, consumer electronics company, I tried some other fashion company or so many different type of business area.
So when you were saying you were trying all of these companies, was this
Just looking for
just checking them out?
Just go into the interview. Then I find the consumer electronics is almost all the blue ocean from the internet view. So the consumer electronics with internet, it's just born from the 2001 or 2002.
Well, that's true. Going back to 2001, almost no companies were seriously trying to connect.
Yes.
They weren't seriously trying to make smart appliances. Yeah. There were a few gimmicky.
Yes, and also some of the R&D department, the Panasonic R&D department or Sharp R&D department, that try to internet refrigerator or
right. Microwaves. Microwaves that could access recipes.
And people have to connect the phone cable to the microwave.
Right.
So that's a really ugly in a really early stage of the internet connected consumer electronics. Then I go to the Panasonic and start to producing the internet connected devices.
What kind of device?
As far as my job is remote, the TV programming, reserving the website for the old style, the mobile phone. It's not a smartphone.
Right.
But people can reserving the recording of my today's one of the TV programs from the mobile phone. After that, I try to the TV with YouTube. I discussed with the Google and the YouTube guys and built it in the YouTube function to the Panasonic TV. And finally, the job is connected camera. This is a camera with the Wi-Fi and the cloud systems.
Okay, so you were working at that at Panasonic as well.
So almost all of the business background in the IoT, and IoT.
Your first product at Cerevo was also video streaming.
Yes.
What made you decide to leave Panasonic and start up your own company?
The story is really, really difficult to translate from Japanese to the English, but I'm going to try.
Okay.
So, into the Panasonic, 1 or 2 years, I'm very happy to touching the consumer electronics business with the internet business. Mm-hmm. But I faced on the huge war from the internet business side guys and the consumer electronics business guys side.
So just politics?
Not only politics, but they completely different approach or thinking pattern. Of course, the politics. The image like Google guys in Bank of America guys. Of course, they are trying to improving every years. But the two guys, the thinking pattern or how to say.
So yeah, they just think differently.
Yeah, completely different thinking pattern. But the Bank of America and the Google is no need to collaborate with them. But the internet company and the consumer electronic company, my job is connected. So I have to merge to the business area. I faced on this wall. And finally, the Panasonic is not so innovative and not so, user-friendly from the internet user vision. From consumer electronics, the customer vision is, I think it's okay. It's almost okay. Really not so.
Well, I think the biggest difference was that first generation of connected devices, it didn't really change anyone's behavior. Mm-hmm. It was just adding features to a product.
It's correct. It's just adding. in a different culture, in a different function. I'd like to make merged the product, internet merged with the consumer electronics, not add. It's very difficult to merge because that's why the wall is available.
Right.
Then I'm looking for the job hop. Then I talked with the Sony guys, the Sharp guys, Samsung guys, but they are completely same culture as Panasonic.
Right. So they were just trying to figure out how to put the internet into their existing products.
Yes. Then I decided to start the new business. Started the company with the internet side guys and consumer electronics side guys.
So did you start the company with friends from Panasonic?
At first, I started the company with two investors. The name is Mine-san and Yamada-san. And Mine-san is ex-Sony. He go out from the Sony and started the investment business. So he will know about what is internet content, what is consumer electronics.
Since you didn't have a background in engineering or programming, where did you recruit the first engineers from?
And also, I have to talk about the Yamada-san. He is the CEO of the Mercari, fast growing the second-hand market company. And the first engineer from the Tokyo University. He is just a part-time job, the student. And the second one is my right-hand CTO is he called Matsuken. His real name is Matsumoto. He's the business partner into the Panasonic past time.
He worked with you inside Panasonic?
Yes.
Okay. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
When you first started, your product launch was Live Shell, right? The video streaming.
First one is a Cerevo. This is a very small, tiny digital camera.
Okay.
Its a basic function is just a Wi-Fi digital camera, but this one is a world first live streaming function enabled the point and shoot camera. Then I shift to the live show business.
Okay. Now, it seemed like you were really focused on streaming video, streaming photos for the first 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
And then suddenly last year, Cerevo introduced a whole lot of new products, tremendous number. So what changed?
Mm-hmm. So roughly 2.5 or 3 years before, I and my board member decided to start a new business strategy. I named that is the global niche, the strategy. The strategy is very simple. So we are a Japanese company and very difficult to investment from the very, very huge amount of the money. The US company is okay, and China-based company has a huge amount of the venture capital money.
Right.
But Japan is not so much.
Right.
So once we are going to go to the market, like a GoPro or Fitbit or something like that. So it's very, very tough. We have to fighting with a Panasonic or fighting with a GoPro if we are going to the mainstream market. So I decided to make a very different type of the niche product. We are going to sell the niche product to the many different type of the countries.
Okay. So let's talk about that because your current strategy is building many different niche brands rather than having them all under the Cerevo brand. Mm-hmm. So you guys have the technology to build almost anything, all kinds of devices. Yep. So tell me, what is the creative process inside? How do you decide what projects go forward and how do you decide when to turn this into a brand? So
designing process is really simple. No research, no calculation, and no business discussion.
That sounds like a dangerous process.
It's not. I think it's not that dangerous because we are going to try the whole new market. The smart snowball binding is a whole completely new product. No, market at that time. The Dominator, it's a really the funny toy. It's a whole new product and really difficult to the research and very difficult to project about the amount or the business scale. Mm-hmm. 3 years before, we finished to make great manufacturing process. We can make a whole new this type of the product. Just 4 or 5 people. Time span is just 10 months.
Okay.
If you are going to calculation 5 people, 10 months cost, it's just a few $100,000.
even then, you must have more ideas than you can build. Do just the executives decide? Is it more of a gut feeling that this will work?
Idea has no value. Everyone can make ideas, but we can make a product. Everyone cannot make a product. We have so many ideas. Our strategy is, okay, let's go try product 1. Let's go try product 2, 3, 4, 5. Then ask to the market.
So a very agile process. You bring the product to market very quickly. Mm-hmm. Then how do you decide whether to continue production or to shut it down?
It's completely depend on the revenue.
Okay.
Yeah. One of our very strong point is we have very good relationship with the component vendor in the assembly factory. So then we can make a whole new product from just only 500 pieces.
Okay.
That is a very low risk business. And at first we are going to try a few hundred or 1,000 and ask to the market. If they're quickly sold out the product, we are going to renew. After spend a half year or 1 year, we are going to, if the process is really good, so we are going to try to make a second model for the model line.
Right. So continue and improve it.
Yes.
Interesting. The team is still not that big. How many people work?
We have with the full-time guys and the part-time guys, totally roughly 95 or 96 people.
Okay. Yeah. So how do you keep track of all the different product lines? Mm-hmm. Are there individual teams? Mm-hmm. Are like these 4 or 5 people are in charge of this one line and these mm-hmm. 4 or 5 are in different?
From my view, we is investing to the many small startup companies. It's my vision, like my vision.
Right. No, that makes sense. It's very similar to a startup.
Yes.
Accelerator.
Accelerator, yes.
So basically, if a team comes up with an idea and say, we want to build this, you'll, as a company, invest a few $100,000 to see if it works. And if it does, you'll put more money behind them and let it grow. Excellent. I imagine that must be really motivating for the teams involved.
Yes, of course.
Let's talk about going global, because you mentioned early on the importance of being like a global niche brand. So you've been very active at the Consumer Electronics Show mm-hmm. from early on. Mm-hmm. Right now, what percentage of your sales are overseas mm-hmm. and what percent are Japan?
There are roughly 60%. It comes from the other countries.
So 60% overseas. That's really unusual. That's really a great sign for a Japanese hardware manufacturer.
And also, we doesn't have any full-time partner outside of Japan.
But actually, you went global really soon, really quickly after founding. From your very first products, you were selling...
Not so fast. I started business from the 2009, and I launched the first product at the 2010. The first global selling the product. This one is launched from the end of the 2011. Okay. And I started a global business from the 2012, February.
Okay, so it took a few years to ramp up and to go global. Mm-hmm. For all Japanese startup founders who are wanting to go global, mm-hmm. so the advantages are clear. It's mm-hmm. much bigger markets, much more access to customers. Mm-hmm. What was the most challenging part about going global as a small startup?
Currently, we are selling in 50 different countries. Of course, the biggest market is the US, and the second one is Europe. And now they're growing up in some of the Asian countries, including India and the China. We have a strategy, but we don't do not so much. Just showing the very, very rarely unique product into the CES or IFA. That's it.
Your main market entry strategy has been trade shows and exhibits.
I have to say no. The main strategy is a product planning. The so unique product right now in this 2016 or 2015. I know media guys, the heart. And also in the 5 or 6 years, and the media guys is the raising up every year. Who is a media? I don't know. The blogger is media, and the podcaster is also media.
Everyone is media today.
And also sometimes the YouTuber is also the media guys. Everyone can make a media. Every media guys is looking for a whole new something. Then I decided to make very tricky and very edgy the IoT devices. Then maybe the media guys is really easily to picking up a product. Of course, it's not only US guys, Latvia guys or Chinese media guys.
Do the media find you via the trade shows mostly, or do you do marketing and outreach directly?
Yeah, basically the trade show.
So, right, the product planning. I mean, if you don't have an interesting product that will spark people's imagination, no one will write about it. And so also, that makes sense.
So basically, traditional trade show is to talk with the distributor or to talk with sales guys. But the current trade show is to show the product to the media guys.
That's true. It has really changed in the last 10 years or so.
Yes.
That should be very encouraging to not only Japanese founders, but any hardware makers around the world. Because if you make something worthwhile, it sounds like it's pretty easy to get the attention of the media.
One of the curious things is CTEC is the Japanese most biggest consumer electronics show in Tokyo, but we doesn't talk about the CTEC guys. Just talk to the CES guys or IFA guys.
So you don't do trade shows in Japan. Yeah. Is that just because you have already direct access to the media and there's no real advantage?
And also the NHK and the TBS guys is also coming to the CES.
That's true. That's right. The Japanese media comes to those shows as well. For an example, let's talk about one of your brands, the Exxon brand, which is smart bindings and video camera gear for snowboarders mostly. What is your target for that? Is it pros? Is it amateurs? Is it just geeks who love new gadgets?
One of the most important customers is geeks of the gadget guys.
Yeah.
And the second one is high-end amateur guys. And not only it doesn't focus to the snowboard items. We are going to launch in this month the whole new bicycle device, telemetry device. The name is Ride One. Yep. So the Exxon brand is we are going to change the sports equipment to the IoT and IoT.
Sports equipment is a very big, very competitive, and very specialized market.
Yes.
So why did you decide to create your own brand rather than going the OEM route and licensing your technology to existing brands?
That's a very, very good question. I understand completely the huge brand behavior. That's why I worked in the Panasonic. And my colleagues worked in very huge companies. Before the launching the Snow One, the binding, if I go to the Sarobon or Head or Mizuno or something like the huge sports brand company, if I go to them and if I'm going to presentation my idea to them, maybe they are going to think about thinking 2 years. But we can make a new product around the 10 months. Most, shortest and effective way is to make a whole new brand and to make a whole new technology snowboard binding at first, using just 10 months or 1 year. Then I'm going to bring the product to collaborate with the existing huge companies.
Okay. In many ways, this is the proof of concept for the market.
Yes, of course.
All right. That makes a lot of sense. And is that sort of your general strategy for other brands as well?
Yeah. We are starting up company. I feel the most important things of the startup company is the speed. So every time I think and decide what way is the most speedy.
And do you view these teams as startups? Would it be, for example, would Cerevo be looking at selling this unit to Burton or to sell that unit to an acquiring company?
That's a very happy future for me.
Okay. Excellent.
But not yet.
Well, step by step.
Yeah.
But no, that it makes a lot of sense if you really think about this if you think about Cerevo not so much as a company, but as a accelerator. It's much closer to an accelerator business model than a traditional manufacturing model. And do the team members also have stock or bonuses based on the team performance? Do they feel like they own that product themselves?
Currently, we don't have this type of the bonus or stock systems.
Okay.
That's purely Japanese style.
Yeah. So the founders, the team leaders are just regular employees.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Actually, you guys are involved in a lot of different IoT projects here in Japan. So you co-operate the DMM Make facility, right? Which is an astounding Internet of Things makers heaven.
Yeah. Currently, my company is one of the important partner of the DMM.make. So many startup companies to make a rough prototype, but these type of the people have to shifting up to the mass production.
Right.
So we have many know-how how to the mass producing or how to the distributing the product to the other countries.
Well, it seems there's actually 3 different levels of mass production. Mm-hmm. You have what's going on at DMM Make and so many other maker spaces, which is closer to prototyping.
Yeah.
You have small lot production, which is some of the niche brands that Cerevo is making. And then there's that next level, which is like back what Panasonic was doing.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that jump from the niche brand to the truly mass market is extremely difficult. Mm-hmm. Do you know any startups in Japan that have been able to make that jump?
I think it depends on the money. The jumping have to spend a huge amount of the promotion fee. It's not my company issue, right?
Right.
So if the people, one of the startup company to make a very general product, like a camera or microphone or something like that. So at first they are going to try the prototyping. It's easy. And the second time, it's not so much amount of the mass production, like a few thousand pieces or something 10,000 pieces. We can support this area. This hopping is really, they have to spend a huge amount of the money too.
So that's still a very expensive jump. So if an IoT startup became so successful that they were getting distribution through department stores and electronic stores.
And also not only promotion fee. The promotion fees are, few $1 million. And also if we are going to try the $20 or $30 million promotion, we have to make a huge amount of the stock.
You have to get $20, $30 million together.
Yeah. That's why the timing is very, very important. So the financing timing and mass production timing and promotion timing. In Japan, that type of the financing is really difficult.
Okay. So then I guess it makes sense for part of Cerevo's business strategy to sell off the business units instead of trying to really build a global brand. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's why we are changing the strategy from the mass production to the global niche strategy.
Okay. Excellent. Well, I've noticed you guys have run crowdfunding campaigns in the US. Mm-hmm. Have those been mostly just for marketing purposes, or have you used the revenue as a basis for building products?
It's just a research.
Just research?
Yes. So we have money, but once we are going to try the really easy the product, we like to prove the acceptability. Okay. Then I'm going to use a crowdfunding.
Okay. See, now this gets back to what we were talking before. I knew it couldn't be so simple as just gut feel or no research, nothing. Yeah. So when you do get an idea for a product, you do market research in the form of crowdfunding and what else? We
are separating the edgy product or really edgy product. Okay. So edgy product is the risk is just 50 or 60%. Well, this one is risk is 80 or 90%.
Okay, so what's an example of a slightly edgy product and what's an example of a really edgy product where you're worried?
Okay, so slightly one is the live show.
Okay, so the video streaming or the one of the toy, the name is the Dominator, the toy gun. The toy gun.
Yeah, it's a very edgy product, but we can easily to imagine customer is available in the market.
Sure, it's a licensed product.
Yes.
It's got that tie into the anime series. So right.
It's just slightly the edge.
Okay.
But we try to make a tape measure iPhone case. The name is iTape Measure. And the tape measure there is stored to the iPhone case, a very small
So you could
real tape measure.
You could pull a physical tape measure out of the iPhone case.
And also,
that was a really edgy one?
Really edgy product. And our board member decided to, we have to market research into the Kickstarter.
Okay, and what happened with Kickstarter?
It's failed.
It failed. Okay, well, no, but that makes sense. Now you know.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Let's talk about Japan in general. For someone who's very passionate about and has spent his whole career so far on consumer electronics.
Okay.
So Japan in the 70s, the 80s was amazingly innovative. Panasonic, Sony, all of these companies were introducing these creative projects that were capturing the imaginations of the world. High quality, low cost, really innovative. But something happened and they stopped. So from your perspective, what do you think happened to make Japan fall behind? And how do you think Japan can change to catch up and once again become a world leader in this?
Okay. I think that's a very, 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 very negative way to reborn Japan. Yeah, of course, you're correctly. So, the 70, 80, the Japanese hardware situation, not only consumer electronics, include the car and some of the hardware businesses, really growing up and really innovative. But not so long in the future, just 10 years, 5 years, 10 years. It's so difficult, I think. Into the 70 or 80, so Japanese government is really completely following up at that time, startup guys. Mr. Honda, Mr. Toyota, Mr. Matsushita, and they are really tightening up with the government to change the regulatory is importing and exporting issues. But right now, Japan was already big countries, so the regulatory is very tough and very tight, and also not so much the passionately entrepreneur is not available right now.
So you think it just got too comfortable? The relationships with the government and the existing market just got too comfortable for the big companies?
And difficult to bring back to the top runner. So we have to focus in some of the specialized area.
So right now the outlook is pessimistic and negative?
Yeah, very pessimistic and negative.
Okay. So what's the fix? How do we fix it?
We lost the missing piece. The one is investing, the risk money, and let's take companies also. Panasonic doesn't take any risk. So one of the curious things of the Panasonic guys, the Roomba, it's the iRobot, the automatic robot vacuum cleaner.
Right, the Roomba.
Yeah, Roomba. So once Roomba is coming to the market 2003 or 4, but the Panasonic, Hitachi, Sharp, every Japanese consumer electronics brand is just looking. Don't do it. You know the reason?
Why?
Because in Japan, the elder person's the house has altar, and the altar has candles available. And once the automatic vacuum cleaner hit to the altar, and the candle will be falling down. And the Japanese, the house is made of the wood and the paper. They're really easy to burn out. That's why they doesn't try to the vacuum cleaner, automatic vacuum cleaner.
You make a really interesting point, because this is something I have noticed about discussing new projects and new ventures with Japanese companies, the large Japanese companies I've worked with. Everyone will tend to try to think of reasons why it won't work.
Yeah.
If you get a table with 5 people around you, everyone will be trying to come up with as many reasons as possible why it won't work.
So that's one of the missing piece.
Yeah.
But the finance is also in, every time I talk, it's the risk management or something like that. Of course, everyone says no, cannot. So passion is going down. So the passion is, I think passion is one of the missing piece.
Yeah. I think we are seeing some changes. For example, the same model that you use to test market products, even Sony has been experimenting with this. Sony has experimented with using crowdfunding to try what they thought was really, crazy, risky products.
Yeah.
So do you think we might be seeing more of that, more of the same model that Cerevo is using, just having bigger companies use it?
The maybe bigger company will be used the same way, but they are a huge battleship, container ship. Once they decide to go around, so they have to spend 1 day or 6 hours.
To steer.
From my understanding, they are way in just turning.
So maybe they've started their turn already.
Yeah, but the good news is that right now we are collaborating with a huge company, the Docomo, the Panasonic, Toshiba, and they like to try and error using the crowdfunding or using very small proof of concept mass production. But they cannot do it like now because they are now turning.
Slowly turning.
But once we, my company, a startup company and huge companies collaborate with the project, so we can really easily to make a proof of concept product in the market. Last year, we launched the product with Panasonic, and we launched the product with Toshiba. And this year, we are going to launch the product with Docomo.
All right. Well, that sounds very... not pessimistic at all. It sounds kind of optimistic that things are slowly starting to turn.
Yeah.
Well, listen, before we wrap up for today, I want to ask you what I call my magic wand question. If I gave you a magic wand and I said you could change one thing about Japan, anything at all, the education system, the laws, the way people think, to make it better for startups, what would you change?
If I received that question 2 years before, maybe I said it's an education system. But today, the education system was slightly changed, and the people's mind was changed in these 2 years. So I have to choose the other magic wand target.
How has it changed in the last 2 years?
It's very simple. Yeah. So 2 years before, startup CEO is not a hero. But the Prime Minister Abe and some other the guys is changing the culture. So nowadays, if I'm going to ask to Tokyo University guys or Keio University guys, maybe they are feeling. I don't know the exactly answer, but they are feeling the image. It's the entrepreneur is cool. It's completely changed.
That's true. There's a lot more role models now.
Yes.
Okay. So you have to use your magic wand on something else.
To change the default language from the Japanese to the English.
Oh. To English?
Yeah.
Or
not Chinese.
How would that change things? Why would that be better?
I saw the many different startup companies and entrepreneurs and huge company guys. Some of the guy has a very good idea, and some of the guy has a very good prototype, but they can't introduce their good things to the global. If they can speak the English very well, and then so I have to change not only just the language, so it's a communication skill with English. Sure. Yeah, because the US guys is not only US guys, Chinese also, but they are really passionately they have a very high the communicate skill. That's a very, very important skill into the startup business and the entrepreneurs.
You think a lot of Japanese startups are not going global because they lack that communication ability?
In fact, they have many different type of the reasons. Not only a language and not only a communication, but one of the important part is the language and communication.
Hopefully we'll be seeing more of that, more global startups going forward.
And also, I like to use the magic wand for me. I have to change my English skill.
Well, I think you've done pretty well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sitting down.
Thank you so much.
Some of Japan's largest companies are starting open innovation programs and actively reaching out to global startups. They're new at this, and that's where Crew, with two W's, comes in. Crew runs corporate startup accelerators for companies like Toyota and Panasonic and dozens more. And these programs are one of the best ways to jumpstart your business in Japan. Many are open to global startups, and they're completely free. Now, I've known and worked with the Crew team, and they're probably doing more than anyone to bridge the gap between corporate Japan and global startups. So drop by Crew with two W's .me/4-startups and get started. And we're back. If someone had simply told me about Cerevo's marketing approach, at first I would have said it was just wishful thinking. Simply building really cool things and then showing them off at major trade shows sounds like a recipe for frustration and failure. But Cerevo's made it work. And if you listen closely to Takuma, it was pretty clear that the actual strategy was a much more proactive and complex one than his first description. I found it particularly interesting that he found the international trade shows were the best way for a Japanese IoT company to attract the attention of the Japanese media. Well, it's true that Japan is very outward-looking in terms of trying to spot technology trends. I also found Cerevo's business structure to be particularly interesting. They are set up less as a consumer electronics company and more like a hardware IoT accelerator, with small, independent teams responsible for the development, growth, and success of each product. The missing component to this model is, of course, that the team members themselves are employees and don't have equity in the projects. I don't think that structure would work in the U.S., but it doesn't seem to be hurting them here. In fact, this situation is not unusual in Japan. Startup stock options are becoming more and more common, but they are far from universal here. Still, though, it makes a lot of sense that Cerevo does not want to be, and probably cannot be, a true mass-market manufacturer. But their strategy of building cool technology, producing just enough of them to prove themselves in the marketplace, and then selling the project to a true mass-market manufacturer in that space seems to be an excellent one, and one in which they are already beginning to succeed. If you want to know more about the Internet of Things or about Cerevo or cool geeky gadgets in general, Takuma and I would love to hear from you. So come by disruptingjapan.com/show067 and let's talk about it. When you drop by, you'll find all the links and sites that Takuma and I talked about and much, much more in the resources section of the post. And most of all, thanks for listening. And thank you for letting people interested in Japanese startups know about the show. I'm Tim Romero, and thanks for listening to Disrupting Japan.